All right, today we're going to be talking about the signs that your ex feels guilty after a breakup. Now, I've actually talked about this in a video before, but this is going to be a much vastly new and improved version of that video. And I think probably the best place to start off is by first understanding what components are necessary in order for someone to feel guilty in general. All right, so what components need to be present in order for an ex to feel guilty about leaving you? Well, in general, we need to first understand the causes of guilt. And really, there's only 3 reasons or causes for why someone would feel guilty. So here are the 3 causes of guilt. Number 1 is you knew better. Number 2 is you caused hurt, harm, or injury. Or number 3 is you disappointed someone. All right, so let's take a look and hyperanalyze these 3 guilty sort of causes. The first one is you knew better. You did something that you knew that you shouldn't have done. You knew better than it. We often see this with affairs or cheating. Take Bill Clinton, our past president. I did not sleep with that woman. That's a horrible, horrible impression, but you get what I'm saying. He knew better to do that, and as a result, he feels guilty. The second huge cause for why someone would feel guilty is that they caused hurt, harm, or injury. So oftentimes, probably the best example I had of this in my own personal life is causing injury to someone. When I was maybe 14 years old, we were playing tackle football in my yard, basically. A bunch of kids in the neighborhood came over, we were playing tackle football. And I remember I went to tackle this kid who was smaller than me. Maybe he was like 12 or 13 when I was 14. I picked him up, I tackled him, and he landed poorly on his collarbone and broke it. I tackled him, he broke his collarbone, and as a result, for months afterwards, I felt incredibly guilty about this. But I shut down. I didn't even apologize because he had to get rushed home to the hospital or to the emergency room, but I still feel guilty about it to this day. That's a great example of feeling guilt when causing hurt, harm, or injury to someone else. And the third reason for why someone may feel guilt is that they disappointed someone. So we see this a lot in breakups, where an ex breaks up with you, but feels incredibly guilty about it because they know they said certain things or made certain insinuations that you were going to be together forever, and they know the fact that you broke up with them basically kills those plans altogether, but also what it ends up doing is they know or feel guilty because they disappointed you. So, with that in mind, and I know this is maybe a little bit unnecessary, going through those 3 causes of guilt will help inform you for when we actually start looking for the signs that your ex actually feels guilty for breaking up with you. Sign number 1. Your ex keeps checking in on you to see if you're okay. I'm going to pull from my own personal experience to tell you this sign because it's really all I have to draw upon. Oftentimes, I will go up to my wife today or tomorrow and I'll say, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And it's always a fact that I'm guilty about the fact that I'm working while she's watching our daughter. Look, I realize how hard of a job it is to watch a 5-year-old. I have an easy job, which is thinking up ways in which people can reconnect and get back together. And sometimes I do feel it's a grind where I'm constantly filming YouTube videos and writing articles and putting out fires here, putting out fires there, doing coaching sessions, things like that. Ultimately, though, I think my job is way easier than her job. So ultimately, when I say, "Hey, are you doing okay?" I'm doing it out of guilt because I feel like I should be there more. So here's what you need to look out for. If your ex is constantly doing this, where they're texting you, "Are you doing okay?" or where they say to you, "Are you doing okay?" it is a sign of a guilty conscience. Sign number 2, their social media behavior towards you actually changes. Let's say, for the sake of argument, your ex really isn't all that into social media. They're like me, for example. They have a Facebook, they have an Instagram, they hardly ever update it when they know they need to update it. They really don't pay much attention to it, and they like to live life their way. But after a breakup, it's usually a good sign that someone's feeling a lot guilty about hurting you from the breakup if you start noticing they comment and like your own new pictures. This tells you 2 things. Number 1 is they're spying on you through social media. Number 2 is they're trying to get your attention and also try to elicit a reaction to show or so that they can see if you're feeling bad about the breakup. And It's a weird way to do this, but we have found this time and time again. So what you're looking out for here is if you post a new photo and your ex has never commented on any of your photos ever before, or they rarely comment on your photos or like your photos, and all of a sudden they're doing that to this photo, good sign of a guilty conscience. Real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. Sign number 3, your ex has an insane narrative. So for this one, I'm actually going to pull directly from one of my comments in one of my YouTube videos. I think that illustrates this point almost perfectly. And this comment is from Frank. My ex-wife cheated on me. Still, she's the one breaking up with me when I found out about it. And she suddenly was so angry with me and totally went no contact, even if she's the one cheated and being cold to me. So, to set the stage, Frank's wife cheated on him. He found out about it, but she was the one angry with him. And also what I think you need to understand with guilty people who have this really angry reaction is anger isn't usually based around you. It's based on reflecting emotions that they don't want to own onto you. So this woman feels extremely guilty about cheating on you. So instead of taking responsibility and saying, I made a mistake, she makes it your mistake. It's an insane narrative, but something that we see in people who have a guilty conscience. Sign number 4, they get overly defensive anytime you talk after the breakup. All right, this is maybe one of my favorite stories to tell because I told it one time on this YouTube channel and always everyone tells me how hilarious it is. And it perfectly illustrates this point. Okay, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I wanted nothing more than a pair of walkie-talkies. You know, the things you kind of squeeze and you're able to talk to your friend around the corner. I used to daydream about these walkie-talkies. So it just so happened to be May 10th, my birthday, and my parents got me, you guessed it, a new pair of walkie-talkies. And for hours, I begged my dad to take one pair of the walkie-talkies and run all the way across the house so that I can talk to him. I was so excited about my walkie-talkies that I brought it to school. And I started showing it off to all my friends. I'm super excited about these walkie-talkies, right? Well, one of my friends named Wes ended up saying, hey, I really like your walkie-talkies, Chris, but you know what? If you let me have them and take them home, I can actually install a TV in them. So at 7 years old or 8 years old or whenever I was over the moon about this idea. So I gladly gave Wes my walkie-talkies. So a few days go by, and every day I would ask, hey, do you have my walkie-talkies yet? And he would say, no, I'm still working on installing the TV into the walkie-talkies. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Another day would go by, and I'd say, hey, did you work on the walkie-talkies? Oh, you know, I was about to install the TV, but I thought, you know what? I actually think the TV can be bigger. And so I was mind blown, like, oh my gosh, a bigger TV in my walkie-talkies. This is gonna be the coolest walkie-talkies ever. The weekend passes and Monday happens. School day. I get to Wes. Did you get my walkie-talkies? And I started to know he got real defensive each time I would ask. Now, obviously, he's lying about the whole thing. He stole them from me. But each time, every single day from that point on, any time I would ask him about the walkie-talkies and the TV, guess what happened? There would always be another excuse, and then eventually it turned from an excuse to defensive. Why are you asking me so much? And of course, we got into an argument, and I never got those walkie-talkies back. He stole them from me. I think I told my teacher, and she just didn't want to be bothered with it, and I told my parents, and they just didn't want to be bothered with it. And I learned a hard lesson. So here's my lesson to you. If you are talking to your ex, and they're getting defensive whenever you're just acting normal, it's a great sign of a guilty conscience. because obviously Wes was feeling pretty bad about stealing from me. And if you're out there watching, Wes, I want my walkie-talkies back. You owe them to me. It's been 30 some odd years. You owe me those walkie-talkies. Sign number 5, they tell you that you deserve better than them. I actually did a whole video where I talked about this concept of an ex who says you deserve better than me is almost painting themselves as being altruistic when the reality is they're not very altruistic at all. So this is kind of almost like an Inception level sort of understanding here, but imagine you have an ex that says you deserve better than me, but they don't really believe that you deserve better than them. They just want you to hear them say something because they're gonna feel guilty if you find out the truth. So they say the most selfless thing they can think of, the most altruistic thing they can think of, you deserve better than me. So almost everyone who says this and doesn't mean it is saying it based on a guilty conscience. They feel guilty about hurting you, or they feel guilty, or they know they will feel guilty if they hurt you, if you found out the truth. So what they do is they kind of say this advanced form of it's not you, it's me. Sign of a guilty conscience. Hey there, if you're sitting there and you're wondering like, hey, I think my ex might be guilty, but I'm not sure if I want to get them back or not. Probably the best thing for you to do is to stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. It's a free, simple 2-minute quiz basically designed to tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. And all you have to do if you want to take this quiz is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click it. It's that simple. Also, if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It really does make a difference.